So next, I just want to comment a little bit about the Republican Party. We got great things going on. We're doing great fundraising. We're building databases. We're doing everything preparing for 2026. But we cannot be complacent. Because we saw what happened in SD9 recently. Does anyone know about that? A heavy Republican district just elected a Democrat to the state Senate. And what happened was, it was a special election with a Democrat, 2 Republicans, okay? It went into a runoff, Democrat and a Republican. Not all Republicans showed up because they were fighting before that election, and it cost them in the runoff. So we need to be very careful. We can't be complacent. The Democrats are using every opportunity to twist the narrative, blowing everything out of proportion and rallying their base. So we need to be prepared in 2026. And the point of primaries is to get the best candidate elected to run in November. It's not to tear each other down. So everybody in this room, look around. We're friends, we're family, okay? We're gonna go hard in the primary to get our candidates elected, but at the end of the day, we have to come back together as a family and beat the Democrats in November. So I just wanted to get that out of the way. Moving along. So tonight, like I said, we're going to have a forum for our candidates that are in contested primaries. As we go through it, they're going to have 1-minute opening statements. They're going to have a minute and a half for questions, to answer questions, and a 1-minute closing, okay? They will have an opportunity to have an extra 30 seconds if they choose to do so at one time. We're going to start at precinct chair and work our way up to the State Board of Education race. And so with that, we're going to start with precinct 81. Stephen, there you go. Blake Brown could not make it, he's sick. All right, you may start with your opening statement.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Stephen Armstrong. I'm running for Precinct Chair 81, which is located on the island. I've been an island resident and a Corpus Christi resident since 2016 after I moved here working, getting stationed on the base. I retired from the base, and my wife and I love Corpus Christi and the island so much that, as we say, God bless Texas. Texas is now my home. I've lived all across the United States and around the world, and I see what great things are happening within Texas and within the Republican Party that I want to be a part of something to where I can give back to my community. My father instilled in me a long time ago my principles of faith, family, and freedom, and I want to continue to make sure that we do that for not only our Republican Party, but making sure all of our candidates instill those values.
All right. Your first question. How will you recruit new volunteers and precinct workers rather than relying on the same group of people?
Really great question. So what you have to do is you have to continue with your superstars and your volunteers that come out all the time. You have to make sure that you get out the vote, get out the word, making sure that you use social media, different websites and different avenues, friends of friends. Also make sure that you get out in the community, making sure that you're vocal, that you're looking for your block walkers and your Republican Party representatives to get out there. Bring, every time you do something, have that weekly coffee event at Island Joe's or wherever you're at. Do something in the evening as well to catch those people coming home from work so that you can make sure that you spread the word and spread the message so that you bring a friend, bring a family member, get everybody involved. Do different events, do beach cleanups, do all kinds of events to where you make sure that the Republican Party knows and everybody knows that we need all the support that we can to make sure that the Republican Party is the party of choice for everybody.
Sir? One more question for you. In a Republican primary, disagreements can get heated. How will you help unite Republicans in your precinct after the primary while still respecting voters who supported different candidates?
This is definitely an amazing question of just what you spoke about. We as Republicans, we are a family. Yes, we are going to have disagreements amongst the family, but what we have to do is we have to make sure that when we are done, after the primary election day is over, We all come together, we all support the one candidate that we elected, and we make sure that all of the other candidates support the one candidate that was elected. Because if we still continue with the disagreement, it's going to chip away and erode at that one person that was voted, and that's going to give those votes back to that Democrat Party. We cannot have Republicans voting for Democrats. We need to be one party, one united effort, making sure that we're all on the same page of music, and we all walk out of the primaries on one step, and we continue to support the candidates for the party together. Making sure that we, as a party, yes, we're going to have our disagreements, but guess what? When the primary is over, we need to make sure that we come together to make sure that our party is the strongest platform so that we know that we elect the right candidate in the primary and make sure that we continue on that path because we need faith, family, and freedom. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for this amazing opportunity. I want to thank my beautiful wife, Amber, all my island residents that have come out and suggested that I run for this position, and first and foremost, thank God, because without Him, all things are not created. So making sure that I continue to do everything that I've done. I'm on multiple different candidate parties. I make sure I get out the vote. I get out there on the island. A lot of the city council know me. A lot of the elected officials know me. I'm a 24-year military veteran, and Texas is home, the island is home, and please support me for your Precinct 81 chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we have our candidates for Precinct Chair of Precinct 122. No, whichever one you want. Go ahead and the back. No, just put it over top of it. Okay, we're doing alphabetical order when we start going, so you'll do the opening statement first.
Hi, I'm Christina Nelson. I am a resident of Flower Bluff. I've been a resident of Flower Bluff for 10 years now. I'm also a professional counselor in the community, and as a professional counselor, I work with people from all different walks of life. I hear all kinds of problems, concerns, questions. And I think because I'm well trained to listen and respect people from all different walks of life, that makes me well equipped to serve in this role as precinct chair, to listen to the community members, to bring back what they say to the party so we know what messaging we need to get out, to turn out the vote in November. It's incredibly important. I love this community. I want to see us thrive, and I want to see the Republican Party thrive. I also want to say that I know that Dan is very well loved and respected, and I respect him as well. I've only recently been able to communicate with him over the last few months, but he's a great guy, and so if he should win this, I've asked him to please allow me to work on his team, and should I win, I warmly welcome you to work with me to help me through this process.
Yes, my name is Dan Wesley. I put in 23 years in Uncle Sam's Canoe Club, known as the United States Navy. There I developed a vocabulary of a well-educated sailor. And then I decided I'd come to see my son here at Corpus Christi. He was stationed in the Coast Guard. The rest is history. Fell in love with the place. And here is where I found out how backwards and disgusting the Democrats have become in this country. Yeah. You know, I was born and raised in Minnesota, a great state not to be from. Anywho, here I am, and I hope to continue serving the Republican Party.
Thank you. All right, this first question is going to go to you, Dan. We'll alternate. What specific plan do you have to identify, contact, and turn out Republican voters in your precinct, especially voters who skip the primaries?
I'm always out and about, and one thing I'm really not too silent in my position on things. So when I run across people, I always try to get educated in the Republican Party, why it would benefit them, and that basically I wear my hats and my shirts, identify myself. It usually opens up a good conversation, and that way I can find out who my friends are and some people maybe they're not. That's how I go about it.
Thank you. What specific plan do you have to identify, contact, and turn out Republican voters in your precinct, especially voters who skip the primaries?
Thank you. Well, of course, with block walking and making phone calls, but I'd like to be more creative than that. Like Dan, going out in the community, getting engaged in the community in various different events is a great way to meet people, hear their stories, hear what their concerns are, hear what questions they have. And I also want to take a creative approach of using social media. I've thought about ways to go around the community and make short clips all around our community, expressing the concerns that I've heard from our community members and how our party will meet those concerns, how our party will address those concerns, how our party will help specifically children and families. If you know anything about me, you know my passion is children's safety and family wellness. And as we've seen across our country, the family structure has just been broken down, and children are increasingly at harm. And so it's very, very important for me to spread the message of the Republican Party. We need to be able to protect our kids, and we need to be able to educate the community on facts. Not opinion, not feeling, but facts related to policies, related to candidates. It is so important for people to actually know what they're voting for, and that's what I plan to do.
All right, we'll start this question with you. What role should a precinct chair play in ensuring confidence in our election process?
Well, I think that goes along with what we've stated, is communicating to the public that what we're doing. And specifically, I think it's important to get engaged with the Election Integrity Project, and being able to communicate what's being done to ensure election integrity. Could you follow up with, was there another portion of that?
Just ensuring confidence in the election process.
Okay. And just also, just like I said, is communicating facts. That's what's so important. I often think about Kayleigh McEnany, the former press secretary, and I always loved that she went to the podium not with feelings, not with opinions, but with facts. That was her thing. This is fact, right? And so I think as we go out and we communicate with the public, it's very important for us to go ahead and be well prepared with those facts. And also to be able to direct people to those resources to identify the facts for themselves. So I'm constantly meeting with people like, well, how do you know that? How do you know that's true? Is that your opinion? No, it's fact. Go to this resource and find it for yourself. Don't just trust me. I'm just another human being, right? I'm educated. I take the time to know those facts, but do it for yourself so that without me or without others, you know where to go to find that information.
Thank you. Same question, Dan. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. What role should a precinct chair play in ensuring confidence in our election process?
Adhere to election integrity. Need the people to go out, including myself, and state how, back to, I recommend also becoming a judge or a clerk, which I have, and alternate. So that's one of the basic things you should do, is get involved with the election process itself. And that's my goal.
Thank you. All right, now we'll move on to closing statements. We'll let Dan do the closing and then.
Well, I hope I earned your support. I'm looking forward to the next tour of Precinct Chair. And I don't know what else to say. Rah, rah, rah.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you again for this opportunity to speak. I thank God above everything for giving me opportunities, placing opportunities in front of me, and I just follow His message wherever He wants to take me. Thanks to my husband and my beautiful family for supporting me in all the different things I do. I wear many hats. And I just want to share with you a little bit more about me and why this role is so important. I am not only a professional counselor, but I'm a professor as well. And I've been a professor for 10 years. And I have seen the decline in our academics, in academia overall, and indoctrination of youth, and it's incredibly disheartening. And so through this process, I've learned so much about how important it is to understand the elections, to understand policy, to understand your candidates, and look beyond a headline and look beyond what somebody tells you. And again, go find the facts so you're a well-educated voter.
Thank you for coming and participating. If you live in Flower Bluff, these are your candidates for precinct chair. Thank you, guys. All right, next up, County Commissioner Precinct 4. I don't think either of the candidates are here. They both told me they had prior engagements that they would try to make it. So we're going to jump to 94th District Court. We would have Kathy Mills and Chris Dorsey, please. All right, then we'll do alphabetical, so Chris Dorsey will start with the opening statement.
Whenever you're ready. Oh, thank you. Good evening. My name is Chris Dorsey. I've been an attorney for nearly 25 years. I'm running because if you look at my brochure, I'm running because we have, Jenny and I have 4 beautiful boys, 12, 18, 20, and 21. And we're trying to make a nice, safer community for them. I was inspired because we had a DA who dismissed thousands and thousands and thousands of cases. And that's absolutely wrong. We should not have DAs dismissing all those cases. We need judges who are here to make our communities safer. That means judges who are here to hold criminals responsible for their crime. If they are in fact guilty, they need to be held accountable for their actions because actions have consequences. And so that's why I'm running. I'm running to make sure we can actually have a safer, nicer community. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Kathy Mills, and I'm also running for the 94th District Court. I'm running with the logo, You Can Count on Kathy. You can count on Kathy to be a fair and impartial judge. You can count on Kathy to not have biases against the parties they're going to be litigating in front of the court. But I want to share a little bit about my 3 sons. As you know, Billy Mills is a precinct chair. We've been serving the party for several years now. And we have 3 sons, and they've had the greatest ideas during this campaign as they've launched. They thought, give away bobblehead dolls. Mom, put some neon sign. You need some neon on your sign. But the best idea came last night because they look at the campaign signs as we drive down Ocean Drive. And my middle son, Ethan, said, you need to get a Trump endorsement, Mom. And I had to explain that the judicial races were less fancy than that. But I do this for my sons and for our community so that we can have fair and impartial judges. Thank you.
All right, first question, over to you, Kathy. How do you balance protecting the community with protecting defendants' constitutional rights?
Well, I'd like to kind of attack the premise of the question because the defendants in the courtroom are our community. Our Constitution is there for your protection, and it's there for the protection of the defendants, and every judge should uphold the Constitution. As a judge, I believe in the Scalia model of reading the law, which is it is what it says it is when it was written. I trust our legislatures. We live in a wonderful state where our judges can enforce the laws, the moral laws that our legislature has given to us. And so ensuring the Constitution is absolutely a base value for me. I've been studying the Constitution as most lawyers have. I uphold the Constitution of our state as the clerk of the court for the 13th Court of Appeals. When I was a prosecutor, unfortunately, we did have cases where the Constitution had been violated and we had to dismiss those cases. But then we had times where I fought for the Constitution, and I fought to say that the actions of our police officers were fair and just, and I won those cases and they were upheld at the highest level. So you need a judge who has experience in the courtroom, but also experience reviewing these laws. And that's something that, there's 6 judges on the Court of Appeals that review the cases, but I study that law every day. I'm familiar with the constitutional protections, and I will vow to uphold it for every one of you.
Chris, want me to repeat the question?
Please.
So everyone can hear it. Sorry. We only brought one microphone, sorry. How do you balance protecting the community with protecting defendants' constitutional rights?
As the lawyer with the most experience in this race, I've been a trial advocate for over 20 years. I've been a trial advocate for not just as a gang prosecutor prosecuting violent criminals, but also as a defense attorney. I have the perspective of being on both sides. And make no mistake that we have an adversarial system. As a defense attorney for a while, it is the defense attorney's job to raise constitutional issues. And they have to do their job. It's my job, it's the judge's job to make rulings on those issues. And so judges, in my experience, defense attorneys do a wonderful job of raising those constitutional issues. Now, in the murder cases I've tried and the aggravated and the serious violent crimes that I've tried, it's rarely a constitutional issue. Usually it's more of a state law issue. However, I think those issues are raised by the lawyers and judged appropriately by the court. Now, one of the legal premises that I uphold is you rule on the least restrictive manner, which is an old Oliver Wendell Holmes reason of what we call legal realism. And if you have a basis to rule on a smaller issue, you rule on that smaller issue. What does that mean? If you have a constitutional issue and a state law issue and a local facts issue, you rule on the local facts. And that's my philosophy. Don't rule on a constitutional issue. It affects more, frankly, constitutional issues affect more than one single person. Thank you.
All right, next question. And this will go to you first, Chris. District courts face backlogs. What will you do to move cases efficiently without sacrificing justice?
In my block walking, I get that question all the time. People are spending years in a case that shouldn't take years to hear these cases. And so what you have to do, what the courts have to do, is set the cases frequently. In other words, you have to have hearings, have to put the lawyers in the court. You have to actually work on these cases and make the lawyers work on these cases. And so lawyers are always asking for continuances, and it may break, I hope there are no lawyers in here, but may upset the lawyers, but guess what? The cases need to be heard in a timely and efficient manner. Because what it ultimately comes down to is the courts have to respect your time, the citizens' time. Because people are taking time off their time, they're taking off time from their work to be there in court, not just litigants, but also witnesses and jurors. And so we actually have to respect your time and take advantage of that and do things in a timely, efficient manner. Thank you.
All right, I think we all agree that cases need to move efficiently through the court system. But the good thing is we live in a country that's based on merit and not years of experience. And what I've been doing for the last 6 years is managing the docket of the 13th Court of Appeals. Now, those judges do a phenomenal job of writing their opinions and reaching their decisions, but those cases flow through the court. First, you collect the record, then you get the briefs, then the court writes the opinion. The person who ushers that through the court system is the clerk of the court. That's a constitutional position that I was appointed to serve in. I've been managing a docket successfully for 6 years. The court has met its measures. While it's not always issuing the best of laws, though it has been this year, finally, it has been meeting those measures that I'm responsible for making for the court. I've reported to the Office of Court Administration successfully for 6 years. The judges in this courtroom will tell you that a new challenge to attack these statewide. I don't think we have local backlogs necessarily, but the statewide backlogs, the legislature has implemented new tracking rules for the OCA. I went to a court administrator's education session the other day, and they were struggling with how to report, how to do this, how to track this. Folks, I am the leader to help the courts do that. I have been doing that for the Court of Appeals. We are now doing it at the district courts. We need tracking, measures, efficiency. I have a business degree. These are things that I'm passionate about. Thank you.
We're doing pretty good on time, and we have 2 races that don't have any candidates here, so I'm gonna throw another question at you guys, if that's all right. Okay. All right. How would you describe your judicial philosophy, and how should a judge apply the law when personal beliefs differ from the law? Start with that.
Sure. So it's kind of a 2-part question, and I've already forgotten the first part because I'm going to jump into the second part. My personal beliefs are that the law should be followed. We have a phenomenal legislature who has given us phenomenal laws. And so my judicial philosophy is to read that law and apply it to the case. I'm not campaigning and running around talking about one-off cases or cases that went one way or the other. The fact is I've been studying case law, reading appellate opinions, studying what our Supreme Court is doing and Court of Criminal Appeals has been doing for the last 6 years. Y'all, this work that I have been doing is directly relevant to this court. Now remind me the first part of the question.
Your judicial philosophy.
Judicial philosophy. Be fair and impartial in all things. Now, I'm just as mad at some of the actions that have been going on in our community. You have not heard me once demean or disparage an attorney that will appear in my court. You have not heard me once demean or disparage another party in this community. Why is that important? Because these people litigate in these courts, and if I go to you and show my bias today, then I have to recuse myself from those cases. I will not put myself in a position where I need to recuse myself from anybody's cases. I believe as a judge, you should be fair and impartial in all things. And if that means I can't say out loud how I feel inside, I've been doing it for 6 years, I'm going to continue doing it.
As someone who's been in the courtroom for the last 25 years, it's important to rule fairly based on the evidence of the law and actually know the law, and that's part of actually being in the courtroom for the last 25 years. One of the things I've done is I've been a juvenile prosecutor. And if you know the difference between juvenile law and state and prosecuting adults, it's huge. Not just the age difference, but in juvenile law, they actually have to bring the parents into the courtroom. We have detention hearing within the first 24 hours. And what's amazing is you always have the parents come in and testify that this is the best son in the world. And what you find out is after cross-examination is that the parents know nothing about the child. They don't know anything about the teachers, don't know anything about the classes, don't know anything about the grades, don't know anything about the conduct. What that means is you have these kids who are out there committing crimes. The parents know nothing about them. Parents aren't willing to police them. And that leaves it to the government. We have the government here. We have kids who have not been held responsible for their crimes. We have adults who are committing crimes, and they're not being held responsible for being slapped on the hand. Of course, I cannot tell you what I would do, but I would hold people responsible for their crimes if they're found guilty. And that's exactly what I'm running. So thank you.
We're just going to move to closing statements now. Kathy Mills, you start first.
Well, again, this has just been a tremendous time in our lives, meeting all of you, making friends with you. And when I stood here this morning or this afternoon and heard y'all say the Pledge of Allegiance, it made my heart skip a beat. Y'all, this group said the pledge the loudest and the proudest. And let me tell you, I've heard a lot of candidates say, God, I can't wait for March 3rd. I'm ready for a break. Well, I'll tell you what, I'm not ready for a break. I'm ready to go, and I'm ready to fight for this Republican Party. I'm ready to get out there and tell every single person in our community that you need to support the Republican candidates. And I've been a lifelong conservative. I stand by those values. I support this party, and what you need is a candidate who can win in November. That Democrat is a I was going to say socialist, but she's a socialite, probably a socialist too. But she's a socialite, and we need somebody who can get out there and outwork her, and you can count on Kathy Mills to do that. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time and your attention tonight. I know we've both spoken here several times at the meetings. I've actually been attending, I've looked at my voting record. I've been active in the Republican Party for over 10 years now, which is absolutely crazy. Time flies by. I've been working hard for your vote, trying to block walk. It's been actually a lot. It's been a lot of work for me. A little personal information. I grew up here in Nueces County. I went to Ray High School. I'm a proud Ray High School graduate. I'm a proud citizen of here in Nueces County. One of the proudest moments of my life, one of my best decisions of my life, was when I was top of my law school class, had a great job in law school, out of law school, because I was editor of Law Review and I was active in mock trial student ambassador. I actually had one of the best jobs with the top law firm in the state. I made a decision after our oldest son was born to go into public service and to work less and spend more time with my family. And honestly, that was the best decision of my life. Other than marrying Jenny Dorsey, that's one of the best decisions of my life. Thank you, Brandy. I appreciate that. But anyway, I'm very proud of that, of choosing family over money and spending time with family over spending time with public service over money. And so that's what type of judge I'll be. I will choose public service and working to make this a better community, but also enforcing law, listen to the evidence, and be a fair and responsible judge. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you both for participating. Round of applause for the school. Next up, we've got our County Court at Law number 3, Laura Ramos and Neely Balco to come up, please. We only use one. All right, so we're going to start with opening statements, alphabetical order. So, Neely, you go first.
Hello everybody, I think I pretty much know everybody in here, but for those of you that don't know me, my name is Neely Balco. I'm a candidate for Nueces County Court at Law number 3. I want to start off by saying thank you to everybody in this room. I've been going at this since July, and I don't even really feel like the same person anymore. I tell people, the questions I get asked when I'm out block walking, the questions I get asked when I'm out there with the community, I wasn't ready for that in July. I wouldn't have had good answers. But thanks to the meetings I go to with you guys, interacting with you, being amongst people that are like-minded with me, that helped prepare me to get out into the world and start knocking on those doors, right? And so I want to say thank you as a candidate for being so embracing and welcoming. It can be a difficult process going through a primary whenever you're going against your fellow Republicans, but I feel like we have a lot of great unity within the party. I really enjoyed the process, and so I just want to say thank you all for embracing me and allowing me the opportunity to have the chance to represent you in the general election.
Good evening, Republicans and precinct chairs. Your influence makes a difference in our primaries, and I thank you for all the work that you put in. If you don't know me, my name is Laura Ramos. I have 14 years of experience as an attorney here in this county. I have 2 beautiful children. I'm a wife, and I am a proud graduate of Tolosa Midway High School, TAMU CC, and St. Mary's University School of Law. I have handled the cases that come before County Court at Law number 3, which are DWIs, domestic violent cases, assaults, civil litigation. I've earned my spot on the CJA panel, and I handle tough federal cases. So I believe in being tough and tough on crime, fair, and guided by conservative values. Today, I ask for your endorsement and your help. Together, we can elect a judge who truly fights for Nueces County. I believe that I am the best candidate in this race because the incumbent that we have has 35 years of legal experience, and it's a tough job. It's going to be a tough job to unseat her, and I do have the experience for that. God bless you all. God bless Texas.
All right, first question. This will go to you, Laura. What factors should weigh most heavily when deciding bond or release conditions?
Thank you. I think the important factors of bond are going to be that the United States Constitution is upholded, as well as the Texas Constitution. The justice system provides defendants with due process. We also need to look at the ties that the defendants have to the community, the risks that they pose to the community, and weigh the factors and make sure that both the defendant is protected and it's not a means of punishment, but it is going to protect us all in our community here in Nueces County.
So the factors that I would consider, obviously there's a lot of different factors. The ones that I would consider the most important would be the nature of the crime and the criminal history of the defendant. Obviously, those are the types of things that as a judge, you're going to have your judicial discretion. You have to weigh those factors. And so those are the things I would take into consideration. You know, with the county court at law races, there's a reason I didn't run for district court, right? We have great district court judges in Nueces County. We have great district court candidates in Nueces County. In district court, they're handling very, very serious crimes. That is where the felonies occur. In county court at law, we're dealing with misdemeanors. Obviously, there's very serious misdemeanors when you talk about DWIs, assault, family violence. There's bad people that get misdemeanors. But there's a lot of misdemeanors, too, that are an 18-year-old kid who might steal some beer out of a cooler in the back of a truck, right? And so those are the types of things that you have to weigh in your mind whenever you're a judge. And so I think it's important to have that judicial discretion. I think it's important to weigh all those factors when considering the bond. But the seriousness of the crime, the criminal history, the relationship with the victim, those are all things that we need to take into consideration.
This next question will go to you first. Do you have any experience in managing high-volume docket efficiently, and if not, what's your plan?
So over the course of my career, I've handled all kinds of civil litigation. I've handled MDL, which is multi-district litigation. I've been involved in class actions. These are cases where we have hundreds, if not thousands, of clients sometimes. I've been at law firms where we had paper files. I've been in law firms where we had case management software. So I've done it the old school way. I've done it the new school way. And so I'm familiar with moving those cases along. I've been at law firms where at times I've had hundreds of cases assigned to me. It's important in those situations, you have to have a good, strong legal staff. I tell people all the time whenever I have young attorneys, if you find a good paralegal, you find a good legal secretary, you do everything within your power to make that person feel happy and empowered. Because once you lose them, your life is going to be miserable. And so I think that's important whenever you talk about the court staff. They do so much whenever it comes to managing that docket. You have to make them feel appreciated. You have to make sure that you're empowering them and backing them up with their decision-making processes, because they're often the front lines whenever you're dealing with the attorneys, right? And so it's important that you make sure that your court staff is empowered. Obviously, the other thing with experience handling the high-volume dockets for me is, you've got to know how to push a case along. It's all about scheduling. It's about getting hearings set. It's about moving the cases along. That's something I've been doing for my entire career. As a plaintiff's attorney, your whole goal is to try to get to trial as quickly as possible to apply pressure to the defense, and that's something I've been doing for years. Thank you.
Thank you. So I have 14 years of experience as a solo practitioner, and I also have life experience, and I manage my own law firm, and so I understand, and I handle high-pressure cases where individuals are sometimes facing life in prison or life in the Bureau of Prisons. So my experience, both criminal and civil matters, has taught me that how to keep cases moving while maintaining fairness, and also when to use technology toward it benefits all litigants in the courtroom. Efficiency means being prepared, starting on time, communicating clearly with attorneys, and making sure cases move forward without delay.
We're going to do one more question. So county courts often deal with everyday citizens, especially in misdemeanor cases. How do you ensure fairness while still upholding accountability?
Thank you. So accountability is non-negotiable. So that the purpose of the court is to protect the community and uphold the rule of law. So as a judge, I will be impartial and use the appropriate tools, whether that's supervision or treatment for the drug addict, to impose conditions that are appropriate for each defendant, to promote responsibility while giving people a chance to move forward productively.
So I think in order to ensure fairness, the simple thing as a judge is you follow the law, right? As defendants, they're going to have constitutional rights, they're going to have things that need to be protected. It's your job to follow the law. That's how you ensure fairness. You uphold the accountability by weighing the nature of the crime, the nature of the offense, the criminal history, all those different types of things that you have as a judge with your judicial discretion. You know, it's important, and it's a distinction I tried to make earlier. You know, with misdemeanors, a lot of times you might be getting a person who made a bad choice, right? They're not a hardened criminal. This isn't something that they've gone down this wrong path in life. You're sometimes getting the opportunity to intervene in a young person's life when they're at the beginning of a path, right? And they might be at a fork in a road. So accountability is very, very important, but at the same time, as Laura mentioned, it's very, very important that we use the resources that we have, not for punishment necessarily. You know, sometimes rehabilitation, sometimes changing a person's outlook, giving them the resources to better their life. It's how you hold somebody accountable. And so those are the types of things that I would take into consideration as judge.
Thank you, guys. Now we're moving on to closing statements. You want first? So you go first for closing.
Thank you for your thoughtful questions and for giving us this opportunity, Furman, and to discuss the important role of County Court at Law Number 3. Nueces County deserves a judge with proven experience handling everyday misdemeanor cases that touch every one of us. These cases are DWIs, assaults, domestic violence, and more. With over 14 years in our local courts, I've handled tough cases, defended the vulnerable, and delivered fair, accountable justice in every step of the way. I'm committed to be tough on crime, compassionate where it counts, and always guided by the rule of law, conservative values, and shared faith in Texas. As your judge, I'll work tirelessly to keep our community safe, reduce backlogs, and ensure every citizen gets a fair hearing. I humbly ask for your vote and support in this March 3rd primary. Again, early voting starts February 17th. Together we can build a stronger Nueces County. Thank you, God bless you, and God bless Texas.
Thank you all for the opportunity to address you here tonight. You know, I think this race is going to come down to something simple in the general. We've got a long-time incumbent. She's well-liked and she's well-known. And so how do you beat experience as an incumbent, right? My opponent and I, we have a similar amount of years practicing law. I've done mostly civil, she's done mostly criminal. So how do you go about defeating an incumbent who's well-liked with experience? It comes down to your messaging, it comes down to your communication, it comes down to your demeanor. When you're knocking on people's doors, you have to be able to convince them that you are the right person for this community, that you are the right person who can make a difference. I think I'm that candidate. I plan on knocking on thousands of doors. I've already done it. I've knocked on over 2,200 doors as we sit here today. I'm going to try to knock out another 1,000 if I can before Election Day. I want to take that into the general. It's my job as a down ballot candidate to be the boots on the ground for all these higher up courts and higher up races. You know, if you're covering 14 counties for your race, you're not going to be able to get to Nueces County like I can. I want to get out there. I want to get the message out for the Republican Party to make sure that we turn Nueces County red and keep it that way. Thank you.
Thank you both for participating. Another round of applause for our awesome candidates. All right, so do we have anyone from SBOE or County Commissioner Precinct 4 here or a representative? We have a representative. Okay, I think we're just going to give you a few minutes to represent the county you're representing. 2, 3, 4. What do you guys think? 5. 2 minutes. 2 minutes.
Hi, I am speaking on behalf of Carrie Moore this evening, so I'm just going to... I'm going to speak in her words for a little speech that she gave me since she's not able to be here tonight. She is in Victoria with another event up there. My name is Carrie Moore. I'm a mother, a believer, and I'm running for the State Board of Education because Texas children are being failed and polite conversations haven't fixed it. Across our state, classrooms are becoming harder to manage, less safe, and less focused on real learning. Teachers are overwhelmed, parents are frustrated, and students are falling behind while adults argue about everything except results. Let's be honest about how we got here. For years, education insiders have promised that if we just spend more money, outcomes will improve. But Texas just doesn't have a funding problem. We have a priorities problem, a discipline problem, and a standards problem. I'm not running to protect a broken system. I am running to fix it. First, we must demand fiscal accountability. Parents watch education budgets grow every year, yet classrooms remain crowded and teachers are still buying supplies out of their own pockets. That is unacceptable. I support what I call the 65% standard. Ensuring at least 65 cents of every education dollar goes directly into classrooms, teacher pay, instructional materials, and learning technology. And taxpayers should never be forced to fund lobbying and legal efforts used against them. Families deserve to keep their money, and schools should answer to parents, not fight them with taxpayer-funded attorneys. I will also work to strengthen accountability by partnering with the Office of Inspector General to investigate waste, fraud, and abuse in Texas school systems. Second, we must restore safe and manageable classrooms. Texas technically caps early elementary class sizes at 22 students, yet districts routinely bypass that through waivers. In many schools today, teachers are responsible for 30 or even 35 students. All right, I'm just going to cut to the end since you're cutting me off. And I will say this plainly. A vote for my opponent is a vote for the status quo. If you want the same results, you keep the same leadership. But if you want safe classrooms, real academic standards, strong teachers, involved parents, and education that prepares students for real life, then it is time for new leadership. I'm Carrie Moore. I was doing this work before election season and will be the only candidate who will continue this work after, and I'm asking for your vote for the State Board of Education so we can restore discipline, rebuild standards, and bring common sense back to Texas classrooms. Thank you.
Way to go, Carrie. Any other representatives from any of the candidates that aren't here? No? All right, well that concludes our forum. Thank you all for coming. Thank you to all the candidates.